I'm Rachel Horgan. Join me each episode as I sit down with a guest co-host covering the latest business stories in the Seattle area. We'll read the news so you don't have to. This is The Weekly. No, there's only one clap. Okay. Hey, everybody. I am in New York City because I'm here for my client with Avalera. And I was trying to figure out what to do with the episode because I didn't really want to do virtual. I'm pretty busy this week with the event. And then I thought, you know who lives in New York? My sister. So sitting next to me on my hotel bed is, I actually got her name wrong because I was joking. I was like, let me just confirm your name. It's Lindsay Horgan, right? And you said?
Lindsay Fletcher. Hey,
That's
everybody.
Right. What's up? And Lindsay it's weird to call you by your name, actually.
I know.
That sounds weird. Lindsay lives here in Brooklyn and is a teacher at a high school and has been a teacher for 17 years, teaching English as what's called English as a new language.
Yes.
Not English as a second language.
No.
As well as Spanish.
In our multilingual country, yes.
That's true. You're a nationally board certified teacher and you live here with your husband and your two kids, my niece and nephew.
Yes, they're very cute.
Thanks for coming to meet me. So for those, we've had 1.5 drinks and no dinner because I conned you into doing this.
But very, very ready to talk about Seattle news.
I know. I thought for sure. You know who knows a lot about news. Okay, we're going to have fun today, and we're going to probably keep it pretty quick. So before we get into the news, I have questions for you. First, why did you want to be a teacher?
Yeah, that's a common question I get. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life for a very long time, as many people have after high school, after college. And in college, I realized I had been in schools since I was 14, volunteering for our elementary school, actually, that we both went to.
Corridor Elementary.
Yeah, shout out. And it was just something I really, really enjoyed being with kids. So I decided to major in it. I really like the newness. I tried working in an office before and I honestly got bored. And so like with the kids every year, it's new and it's fresh and it keeps me engaged. But also I really like making a difference and kind of helping the kids and getting them motivated and excited about what they're going to do. And Spanish specifically, I think it's super cool to be able to communicate with people in their language, in another language, especially nowadays. I think it's really important.
Absolutely. And I don't know Spanish. You never taught it to me. I only know French a little bit.
Yes, you chose French.
I don't know why. I was like, I'm going to study French and then I'm going to go to school in San Diego. That made no sense. Okay, what was it like being my older sister?
You know what? It's super fun.
A dream.
So you are almost 5 years younger than me, and our older brother, who's 2 years older. So we just enjoyed playing with you a lot. And so you would go along with a lot of the stuff that we were doing.
It was your little toy. Yeah, so you're 5 years older, my brother's 7 years older, and then both our parents are still together and alive. Yes. So that's the crew. What, do you have like any embarrassing stories of us when we were younger?
You know what's funny? I think being 5 years younger and having moved a lot, we were in different stages for so long. Like with me in middle school, you in elementary school, me in high school, you in middle, me in college, you in high school. I don't know if it's embarrassing, but the only story I can think of is I was going to go away to college. Oh, I have two, actually. I just thought of another one.
Oh.
It's not embarrassing either way, but it's a funny story. I was going to go away to college, and we were, you know what, relatively good kids, I think what people would call it. We realized we had never snuck out. So we made a plan before I was going away to college. We were going to sneak out of our parents' house. And we had obviously had to wait till our parents went to bed. And so we were making all these plans. So we had to like lay down and pretend to go to bed. And then at some point, as I remember it, I went into your room and I was like, it's time. They're asleep. Let's go sneak out. And you said you were too tired. And I was like, okay. And went back to bed. And that was the story of our rebellious
We were so
night.
wild. My memory of it is that I went into your room and I said, it's time. Like, do you still want to do it? And you said, I'm too tired. So we're never going to agree on this of who bailed on the sneak out.
No.
Okay, my last question before we get into the stories. What did you think when I said I was going to start this podcast? Did you think I was crazy?
No, I mean, it was surprising. Obviously, you've been an event planner. You've been dealing with a lot of businesses. But I don't know why as an event planner, I didn't think it connected as much with business. And that's just me from the outside. So I think me thinking it was so foreign to me, I was like, wow, she's really smart. She knows all this stuff about businesses and companies and can talk about it on a podcast to help other people. So I was really impressed and surprised.
Oh, thank you. But it is mostly asking questions, so I can sneak around. Okay, and you said you had another story?
Yeah, so I remember, I guess it was just on our bucket list of things to do before I went away to college, or when I came back, I think at one point. I think you were 18, 19, and we wanted to go out to a bar. And I knew a friend who was a bartender, and if we went before a certain time, he was the one that checked IDs. So
was this in Hawaii?
No, this is in Eugene.
Oh, okay.
So we decided to go out. And luckily enough, obviously all of you listening can't see us, but we look very differently. So I'm brunette, brown eyes. Rachel's blonde hair, blue eyes. So we don't look related, which worked in our favor. So I just didn't tell my friend, the bartender, that you were my sister. And we went out. We got there before 10. So he was the one checking IDs. And I was like, hey, this is my friend, Rachel. And he's like, oh, hey. And he just let you in. And
you said, I said, like, oh, she forgot her ID or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really checking IDs because we all knew each other from high school.
Oh, okay.
And so he just said, come on in. Because I was with some other high school friends and you just joined us. And so we got to hang out the night there in the bar.
Look at that. You were a bad influence on me.
From the start. No.
Mom's listening. Maybe Mom, we should cut this out.
I also taught her how to read. I'm helpful.
You are. You balance it out. All right, so we're going to do some quick stories today. First one, we're going to talk about leadership changes. So there's a couple companies that have some different leadership changes. And then Live Nation is looking at doing probably 2 venues in Seattle, one for sure, but potentially another one. And then we'll talk about Compass suing Zillow. And lastly, we'll talk about some grocery store updates. So I kind of bundled them together. So let's get to it. The first one is Poppy McDonald. You might remember her. She was on an episode and she was the president of USAFacts, which is a company that analyzes and publishes unbiased U.S. government data. She stepped down. She announced on LinkedIn she felt like it was the right time for new leadership, and she'd been there 7 years. So Steve Ballmer, who's the former president of Microsoft, will be the interim president. I always feel like there's I want to know the real reason, because on LinkedIn, you're like, it was the right time. I'm like, okay, but what really happened? But she's been there for 7 years, so I feel like maybe that could actually be the reason, because the longest I can stay at a job is 3 years. The other one is a Rover CEO steps down. So Aaron Easterly steps down, and the COO, Brent Turner, is going to take over. As a reminder, Blackstone, the private equity company, acquired Rover last year. And Rover operates in 16 countries and serves over 6 million households. He says these succession talks started prior to private equity. Do you know about Rover?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's like a babysitter for dogs. It's like if you're going out of town, you can use it. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's more to it now. Another change is James Williams. James is stepping down as managing partner of Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie is the largest law firm in Seattle. Did you know that, Lindsay?
I did not. Yeah, no. Thank you for sharing
but
that
don't worry.
Seattle knowledge.
Yes, don't worry. He's not retiring. He's going back to full-time trial work, which I feel like makes sense, because when you get high up at a company, you're not actually doing the work anymore.
Yeah, it works the same in schools. Yeah.
And then our last leadership change is Kaiser Permanente. Cynthia Dold is replacing Angela Downing as the Kaiser Permanente Washington president. She comes from UW Medicine. 3 presidents in 3 years at this place. So Susan Mullaney stepped down, and then Angela Downing, and now Cynthia Dold. Which again, I'm like, what's the tea? What's happening?
Yeah, as the kids would say, it looks a little sus.
Sus. Oh my gosh, yeah, you got to teach me all the language. Okay, so for you, obviously as a teacher, you're a leader, and a lot of these leaders are changing. How do you approach leadership? Like, what's your philosophy on leadership?
I think leadership is really interesting. I've worked at several schools here in New York and obviously outside of New York, and the leader really sets the tone. At my school now, we're on our 3rd principal. I wasn't there for the first one, but with each principal, it's really set the tone about the culture of the school, the expectations, and it's a trickle-down effect. So like how the principal is affects how the teachers are, which affects how the students are. So it's been really eye-opening to kind of see in the different schools I've been in how you set the tone and the culture. I think it's really important to listen. It's something I'm working on in the leadership roles that I've taken on. I'm very familiar with leading students, obviously as a teacher, but being in charge of different teachers and kind of how to navigate different opinions. And really, I think in education, the focus is on like what's best for the students and kind of making that the central focus. So I think obviously translating it to business aspects, it's like a common goal. What are we working towards? And if we can get everybody on board with that common goal, whether it be helping the students in education or whatever it is for a business, I think a leader that can really get everybody on board with the common goal is probably the leader that I would want.
Yeah, I remember you and I, we both were on ASB. We both were pretty similar in like middle school and high school, always on the school boards or whatever they're called. And I remember you and I had a call, you called me and you're like super frustrated about something. And I'm like, why can't I just need to put my head down and do my job. And I was like, Oh, Linz, I'm so sorry to tell you, but actually you and I are not built that way.
So not built
Look,
that
we
way.
can't.
Yeah.
Like physically, we cannot just put our heads down and do our job because I think there's a little bit of leadership in both of us. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, our next story is about Live Nation. So Live Nation is rumored to be eyeing a space over that the Seattle Mariners control, which you guys probably know. It's the former Pyramid Brewing, but now it's Hatback Grill, Victory Hall, and Steelhead's Tap Room. So they're looking at potentially getting a space there, and the rumor is that it's going to be a comedy club. Live Nation is also planning a venue in Denny Triangle. That one I knew about because I met the person that's starting to that will be doing the event sales for them. And Live Nation wants to have 18 new venues in 18 months in the U.S.
Wow,
which is
ambitious.
wild. Mm-hmm. And then I was asking, you didn't watch the documentary. Well, you have kids, so probably don't have a lot of TV time.
No, bedtime is 9:00.
There's a documentary about a Travis Scott concert festival that Live Nation put on. And because of poor planning, at least 10 people are confirmed dead, which there's rumored to be a lot more.
Wow.
Because to geek out on events a little bit, but they had an analysis where they're like, this space could safely fit probably about 35,000 people. They sold 55,000 tickets. And then they also created this culture where people could just break down the walls and come in. And so they have God knows how many more than 55,000. And then people got crushed in the crowd. I'm having nightmares. Anyway, Live Nation is sort of a monopoly in the space because they own the venues, they own Ticketmaster, the ticketing company, and they're the biggest concert promoter. So
clearly it's dangerous. Obviously, as you mentioned, I feel like a monopoly in any field is dangerous.
I know. Did you know that the creator of Monopoly, the game, you and I played the game growing up?
Yes.
She made it to show the dangers of Monopoly, and now we just play it for fun. But she was trying to show it's never a good thing, and the only way to survive is if you go to jail.
Life lesson.
Yeah. Do you have any concert stories?
What's funny? That's, I think, a difference between us is you have gone to a lot of concerts. I know I have gone to concerts. My first concert, NSYNC. Shout out to all the NSYNC
That's right.
fans out there.
It was my first concert too. It was both of ours.
Yes.
Mom took
nosebleed sections in the 300s. But I saw them. They were very tiny, but I saw them.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing I was going to say about this one is my struggle is that the area, there's Hatback Grill, and right next to it is Victory Hall at the Box Yard. So I think Victory Hall is the inside venue and the Box Yard's out. And then there's also Steelhead Alley Tap Room. All in one place where you can't remember that many names of places. It's are you going to
you said it all and I already
I can't. And I have to Google it sometimes still. And it's been there forever. So my thing is maybe it'll become more clear, but they're not separate enough, I don't feel to know. Anyway. Okay, moving on. Compass is suing Zillow. The girls are fighting. Compass is suing, and they just did a similar lawsuit. So I think they're kind of on a rampage here. And it was filed in federal court in New York. See, it's all tied back to New York.
There we go. This is why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Zillow says if your house isn't on the MLS listing within 24 hours, we're not going to show it. And then Compass says that's not fair. And that's as much as I'm going to share because I don't really know a lot about housing, but that's the update. So, Lindsay, any fights? What was our biggest fight?
I don't remember
fighting.
Having a fight.
Yeah.
It's all love here. It's all love
Mom's
here.
going to be so proud listening.
I know, right? Mom, you did amazing. We love each other.
I think our biggest fight was us disagreeing on who chickened out for sneaking out of the house.
Yeah. Which it was definitely you.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't think of anything else, do you?
No, I think we lived our lives. We were always cordial, and then as adults, we got even closer.
I think when I was young, I was just Lindsay, play with me. So that was maybe
definitely, yeah.
All right, our last one we're going to talk about today is some grocery store updates. So Bartell Drugs, we've talked about them a lot. We had mentioned that they were up for sale. CVS did buy some, and so these Bartell Drugs are now going to be CVS's, which I am sad about because it's a long story, but Bartell's was a family-owned business that we really liked, and now CVS's are taking over. There's that. And the next one is Kroger, so QFC and Fred Meyer. We had a Fred Meyer growing up.
Oh, yeah, so many memories. Fred Meyer.
Oh, you don't have them in New York, do you?
No, West Coast.
What is it?
It's a West Coast thing.
Oh, sure. West Coast. What do you have here, though? Bodegas?
Food Town, Bodegas, Trader Joe's.
Cute. Kroger's going to close 60 stores nationwide.
Wow.
That's the story.
It's a lot of stores.
that is. Next, PCC returns downtown. We talked about this where speaking of bodega, they're setting up a smaller type store, which I think is more attractive these days and obviously less expensive, smaller lease. And that store is going to open July 10th. They announced the opening date.
Yeah. Bodega is super popular here. I love mine.
Yes, I would rather pay more to just go in and out in a small store than a big one. So then we have Whole Foods is closing. One Whole Foods location is closing. And I also forgot about this, but Amazon bought Whole Foods back in 2017. And they're closing one location in Capitol Hill. It's like over by the hospital area. So that is this has been the grocery store update.
Very important. Where we all get our food.
Do you have grocery store stories? I know we have one together.
Yes. So it's the one that always stands out. So as we mentioned, like being 5 years apart, we lived different phases of our life separately. So there was one time where I think you were in college, I had graduated, but I was coming home. We were determined to live together at some point in our life.
Well, we should note that our parents moved away. So we both grew up in Eugene, Oregon, and then our parents moved to Hawaii. I was going to school in San Diego, but it was home for on break for the summer. And I didn't want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah. I had come back from South America. I was living at home in Hawaii because that's where they were at the time. Mm-hmm. And then the summer was coming up. So we decided to live in Oregon together in Eugene.
Oh, I didn't remember that you flew back from Hawaii for that. Why did you do that?
Because I like you.
Yeah. So we had this like tiny little apartment in Eugene.
Yeah. Like no furniture at all. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a car for a while, I feel like, or we didn't have money for gas. I can't remember which it was.
Oh, we had one car. It was my car that we were sharing.
Yes.
I remember I dropped you off for work and I did exactly what mom does, which is like 3 taps on the leg and a squeeze. And I said, have a good day at work. And then we looked at each other and I was like, get out of the car. That never happened. We'll never speak of this again.
Yes. But I remember, and I don't remember the reason, but again, it was either like we didn't have the car at that time or we didn't have money. So we walked, which for all you New Yorkers listening, like is very normal for us. We walk all the time. I walked here to meet you. But in Oregon, in that, like in Eugene, it's not very common. We walked a mile or two to Albertsons, speaking of grocery stores, because we had a sugar craving and I bought a $1 Hershey's chocolate bar. Yeah. And I'm not sure what you bought. And then we walked back home.
I think I got the Hershey's cookie and cream. But the reason was we were so bored and we didn't have we were so freaking poor that we had no money to go do anything. Yeah. And we're like, here's an idea. Let's walk to the grocery store. And then we're like, well, shit, we can't afford anything here. Let's buy a $1 can. So yes, we've been through it.
Got our steps in. It was a good summer though.
Yes. Didn't you work at a grocery store or no?
I worked at Borders, which is closed down.
The bookstore.
Bookstore,
yeah. So it's like a Barnes & Noble, yeah. Fun. Okay, well, thanks for breaking down the news with me, Linz.
So happy to help.
I have one more question before you go.
Sure.
My closing question for you is that you said you're a Spanish teacher. So what can you teach our audience in Spanish?
Well, I guess in the spirit of us wrapping up the school year here in New York, and obviously you're going to fly out soon and go home. There's a saying in Spanish, no es un adiós, sino un hasta luego, which in English is, it's not goodbye, but see you later. With this idea that even if you don't know when you're going to see somebody next, that there's that hope. I'll see you later.
Well, with that, it's not goodbye. It's see you later. And see you at dinner soon because we need to go eat. Thanks.
You're welcome.
This has been The Weekly with production assistance from Nick Patry. If you liked what you heard, rate us and write a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We love listener feedback, so if you have any story suggestions, comments, or complaints, email us at info@theweeklyseattle.com. Make sure to check back next Sunday for the latest local business news. We'll see you next time.